Oh, guys, good, you're here. I am so excited. Guess what?
I hope this isn't about your podcast again.
Why, did you finally listen to it?
The Grandma Next Door is recorded in front of a live studio audience. Welcome to the Grandma Next Door. You're listening to my mommy and daddy.
And now our feature presentation.
And here's your host, my mommy and daddy, Chris and Stella Green.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 70 of The Groomer Next Door. I'm your co-host, Chris Green. Sitting next to me is the tickler, Sarah.
Hello.
Well, this week we have a really entertaining show. A lot of stuff has happened over the last week, so we're able to kind of put a whole big bunch of show together and have a little bit of fun with it. So, anyways, I want to actually talk about next week before we even get into this week.
Let's talk about next week.
Let's talk about next week before we talk about this week. But I just want to actually mention we have a really special guest next week who will actually be recording live with us. His name is Brent Stump, longtime friend, real smart guy when it comes to computers, and has a lot of info when it comes to actual computers and pets all together, because different things happen with pets and computers. So he's going to actually talk to us about that.
Long-term friend, short-time listener.
Wait, people listen to this? Seriously?
You know, you ever hear people call into talk radio, long time, first time, listener, first time caller. It'd be the first time
listener, first time caller. Wow, okay, that works.
But long time friend. He's been a friend for quite a few years now.
But, it's funny because Brent, when he heard we were doing this last year, he was just completely thrown back, like, wait, you can do that? It's like, yeah, why not? And then he came up with an idea. He's like, I want to do a show. But he has, yet to actually, figure out how to do it, what to do it on.
Well, a lot of things popped up in his way, too. So he had to get through those hurdles before he can even think about something like this. So
we'll actually see. We told him it's going to be a clean show, but most likely it won't. So we may actually have to put explicit on next week.
I'm thinking we might have to, just this one
episode.
May
look on the album art next week. If you see parental advisory explicit sticker on it, that just meant because,
Brent can't keep it clean.
Yeah. And of course, once you get me started, I can't stay that way either.
I'm the only one that can hold it.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to break character for you, but for me, it's like 1 ounce of thing, and I'm gone. It's ADD all over again. So, all right, now we're going to jump into the weekly roundup. Obviously, everything always happens on Sunday with us. Right after we record, after everything's in digital, something always happens. And we're like, why did that not happen like 4 hours ago when we were recording?
Right.
So tell us the enjoyable moments that we had right as we're eating dinner, watching Walking Dead, and your mom says what?
So we're all eating dinner. Like Chris said, we're watching Walking Dead and, having this nice family meal. And yes, we're the type to actually watch TV and eat. Some people sit at a dinner table, but I have such a horrible thing about people chomping next to me. It drives me bonkers. And we are recording outside, by the way.
I can't go back to prison.
So there are some... I don't know where that's coming from.
Hey, everybody who's listening, I was with you all day. That's all I'm going to say. I was with you guys all day.
So, our TV faces is against one wall, and the door is kind of behind us. Well, out of the reflection in the TV, my mom goes, "Oh my gosh, there's a huge white dog in the front yard." I'm like, oh no, if Roxy sees it, she's going to go bonkers, and Belle, this little tiny chihuahua, is going to go bonkers. And so I jump up, get my shoes on, I grab some chicken that I had from, leftovers. And it was just plain boiled chicken, so I'm not feeding dogs fried chicken or anything crap on it. Don't worry. And I look outside, and here's this ginormous, huge Great Pyrenees wandering the front yards. Huge. This guy was like one of the bigger Great Pyrenees I've seen. And friendly and gentle as always. Chris went and kind of followed him around while I went back in to grab a lead.
Well, one thing about the houses in our area is we're not in an area where the houses all have privacy fences. A lot of them do, and a lot of them don't. It's kind of one of those 50-50. So
well,
you
we
can
live
walk.
in such a great neighborhood that we don't need privacy fences. People typically leave us alone. In our 5 years of being here, we've only had 3 major incidents happen around that kind of freaked us out.
Yeah, but they weren't. They had nothing to do with our house. They were just passerbyers that were, idiots.
Yeah, criminals, but they just so happen to wander into a really quiet street, and a quiet street that people are very protective of one another. So, groomers like we are, and dog enthusiasts that we are, we always have leads on hand. I normally have one in my pocket, whether I'm going grocery shopping or going on the bike path with Claire. I normally always have a lead or some way of securing a dog if I find one.
You just never know when one's just going to be wandering, and especially when you're driving. I mean, there's a lot of times there are dogs that are get out of their fence and they're just wandering the street, and you want to try to help.
And for some reason, I do not have a fear of any dog. So I'll come walking up to the dog.
I did that.
Just walk right up to him. If you're going to kill me, you're going to kill me. Either way, but your safety is more important.
I guess it's like Batman walking up to a street thug. He's like, "Give me all your money." Oh wait, I'm just trying to stop you.
So.
And that's how Bruce Wayne actually made all his money. He actually mugged the muggers. Hey, there's a thought.
So by the time I got to the house and I had the chicken in hand, I had a lead in hand, the dog just walked into the back on the walking trail and was standing next to Chris. No fear.
Oh, I walked up to him. I just walked up to him. Hey, buddy, how you doing? Walk up to him, start patting him. I'm like, oh, whatever, You see so many dogs, you kind of know their disposition right off the bat.
Crazy muddy feet.
Oh gosh.
And so I get a lead around him, and he didn't really want the chicken right away. He wanted to kind of explore. He was having fun exploring. As much as I hate to stop a dog from having fun, we live in between really busy streets. So if he would have made it to O Highway, it would have been very dangerous for him and for the other dog or the other owners.
And you also want
owners drivers in their car, because if you would hit him, it'd be like hitting a deer.
Yeah.
It would have just destroyed the car and ended a beautiful life.
And you don't know who is, unfortunately in the area. So a dog like that, somebody would get a hold of a dog like that, you resell him on a website. Craigslist. I wasn't going to say it, but
do a rehoming on any kind of Facebook page. It's horrible.
Yeah, so you want to make sure you try to. That was one of my thoughts.
Well, the first thing that I look at is how maintained was the dog.
Yeah.
And the dog was in very good shape.
Minus the dirt.
Just muddy paws.
Yeah.
So I got the lead around him, and of course it's Sunday night. Nobody's in a veterinarian office, and I look at the tag, and it said it was from Doc Brown's clinic. And everybody's gone.
Great God.
I know. So he walked with us just fine back to our house, and we're sitting out there looking around, seeing if anybody's looking for a dog, or if they act like they are looking. Sat out there for a while. It started getting dark. We put them in our garage.
Well, we're set up for this. We have the garage set up for the emergency housing because we've had dogs come through. So we were like, okay, well, we already got it set up. So it's not like, oh, well, if we have to keep them overnight, we have obviously dog food and we got accommodations. At least we're able to, we can call the actual vet tomorrow morning and they can get in touch with the actual owner.
Yeah. Well, he was so well maintained that I knew somebody was looking for it. There's just no way a Great Pyrenees, which is extremely hard to brush out, extremely hard to keep clean, and is just a lot of work. So when something takes that much time and effort from one person, this person loves this dog and knows that, oh man, they're missing their dog.
Yeah.
So I jump on Facebook. I went to 5 or 6 different Facebook pages, posted in all 5, 6 different pages, I did not say what the dog looked like. I did not say...
Didn't post a picture.
Didn't post a picture. I didn't post male or female. I didn't post age either. And these are important things not to post. You want to post the breed of dog. Now, if it's a mixed dog, you're going to have to post a picture because if you don't know what it's mixed with, you think it's a Australian Shepherd mixed with a cattle dog, and it's actually something completely different. Well, then you're going to have to post a picture. But look at the dog and see if you find any identifying marks, special marks that not every dog will have. Some dogs end up having a spot on their chest in the shape of a heart. Well, he has some red spots that were healed up from having hot spots. Those red rust colors on white dogs are either tear stains, them chewing on themselves, or that's pretty much it. Just constant chewing. The saliva makes this fur change colors. And finally, somebody sent me a message and said, my friend has 2 Pyrenees. Let me call him. I'll get back to you. I'm like, okay, great. I would like to get him home tonight. He's so loving and such a sweetheart. He just wanted to come into our house and just wanted to hang out with us. And yet, I couldn't because we had our dogs. This lady ended up trying to find this guy's phone number. Didn't have it. He changed his number. She drove all the way to his house. I guess she lived about 20 minutes away from him or something like that. Drove all the way to his house. Come to find out he is missing his dog. And the lady's like, please, can you call me now? Gave her a call. And I had him answer a couple questions to make sure that this is his dog. And I'm not just going to hand out somebody's dog to some random person so they can make a quick buck or have a brand new, pedigree dog. Mm-hmm. Because this is a purebred. He was gorgeous. Double dew claws on the back. Perfect white, other than his hot spots. So I asked, all right, what color is he? Like, he's a Great Pyrenees. He's white. Okay, but does he have any color on him? Any kind of red or anything like that? And I said, oh yeah, he's got some red on his back end from hot spots that we cleaned up. Okay. What gender?
Oh, yeah.
He's a full male. Okay.
He's a full male.
Well, you got neutered.
He's a half male now.
And then you got a full intact male.
Gotcha.
And
I just thought it was funny.
I said, okay, one more thing. He goes, oh, by the way, his name's Max. I'm like, well, some dogs, they'll come to anything, so yep. I'm not going to go by their name. What veterinarian do you take him to? Doc Brown. All right, come on down. Come get your dog.
Come on down. You're the owner of a Purina dog.
So I said, I'm sorry for asking so many questions. I just want to make sure I'm not handing out a dog to the wrong person. And they're like, thank you so much. And then within a minute, they were here.
Yeah, they were here quick.
Max just lives up the street from us.
Yeah. And right when he got here, man, he's like, hey, Maxie. And that dog started just pulling. I mean, I had the lead on him, and I thought I'd have to jump on his back and ride on the back of him. Because he was like a horse.
We don't advise people to do. It was just something funny. Don't take that part literally. So many people do.
For legal purposes, please do not listen to anything that the Groomer Next Door says. Any comments made by the Groomer Next Door is not
to be held against them.
Yeah, exactly.
But the owner, oh my gosh, his face just lit up. He was so excited that he finally got his buddy back. He was missing for a couple hours.
Yeah, it wasn't gone long.
And the reason for the muddy feet is that when he goes to the bathroom, he does that back kick and kicks dirt over it. Oh, he tore up our front yard.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. Luckily, at this time, it's just springtime. Nothing's really, yet blossomed, so it was okay. But, he kind of resodded a little areas. That's kind of funny.
So when he was in the garage for, an hour or so, we came back out to let him go potty and stuff and check on him, making sure that he's not chewing us or anything.
He was just laying there chill going, hey, okay, you're set up. All right, doggy hotel.
And then
where's room service?
And then we get him out. He wanted to play. And I'm 5'8", and I'm not a tiny girl. So when he jumped up on me, he was bigger than me.
He was taller than you, yeah.
He was ginormous.
Yeah, had his paws on your shoulder.
I mean, close as they can. I haven't had a dog dwarf me like that.
He was taller.
Insane.
He had his paws on your shoulder, and his head was above yours.
Oh, he was huge.
It was funny, actually.
And then he kept jumping up and jumping up. I'm like, Max, you're too big. And then he jumped up on Claire.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, man.
He would have squashed her.
Oh, man. Good thing for running interference on that one.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, and of course, we did 6 days this week. I'm busted. I'm tired.
The only reason why we're bubbly right now is because we took a 5-hour energy shot.
Yeah, this part of the Grimmer Next Door is brought to you by 5-hour energy shot for your energy needs.
I rely on that stuff so much.
I do too.
The only thing that gets me through the days.
Monsters don't work, Red Bulls don't work, Rockstars don't work, but they taste good, but they just don't work anymore.
Hey, Sarah, Chris, you got a Labradoodle, Golden Doodle, and a Great Pyrenees.
Yeah, I took a German Shepherd yesterday. That was smart. Oh, Friday was just as bad, though. Had 2 big dogs. Had Henry and had, I don't remember. Was it a poodle? Or was it I don't forget what it was. It was a lot. You know, one thing that I always say, there's a microphone right there, dear. One thing I've always asked myself is, would I rather have a busy Monday and then the rest of the week be normal, or have a busy Friday and, finish off the week? In this case, it wasn't the finish of the week, so didn't really work out, but I would do Mondays.
Saturday was nothing but matted dogs. Oh my gosh. We believe strongly in humanity before vanity. But if a groomer is halfway decent, they can get a dog relatively dematted without causing pain to the dog and still getting a very nice result.
And if you have any questions on dematting, we have 69 previous episodes. I know there's a few of them about dematting, which we'll cover again in another episode too.
Yeah.
We can't talk about that enough.
So that was a day of dematting, and then we had Buster.
Yep.
Our ginormous.
That was what was on Friday. Was
No,
Buster?
that was Thursday.
No,
that was Thursday.
Oh my gosh, I don't remember anything.
Buster is the biggest golden doodle I've ever met.
I think I have Alzheimer's most of these weeks.
He's getting big.
Getting big?
No, he was already big, but he's getting full figured. Have you noticed that? He's getting full figured. And he's getting full quick.
Yeah. Hey, I think he's past the full. I think he's...
This dog hates it when I have my phone in my hands. When I'm checking an email or something and I'm giving him a break from standing, I'm letting him sit. Every time, he'll knock my phone out of my hand. I could be taking a picture of him, and he will be knocking the phone out of my hand.
That is funny.
Oh, Brett. And I've been grooming him for, 5 years now.
Now, another thing I wanted to talk about on this, weekly roundup, you may have noticed in this week's album art, there's a little posting at the top. It's called AM Podcast Network. AM Podcast Network is a network for podcasters. We've actually been talking to them about joining their network. We're going to pretty much finalize all that. It's not going to change anything. You guys will still hear us the way we are. Nothing's going to change. It's just going to put us into a bigger audience bracket. Expose us to a lot more people so that we can actually, get a larger following. Boy, I hope your radio is loud enough, folks. But one of the reasons why we're actually going to join a network is we want to actually build this podcast. Obviously, our Facebook page is over 700 likes. We have a good following, but like everything else, we want to make sure we're continuing to actually build our audience and not stay, where we are. We want to build you guys.
What's nice is that we have people that like what we're doing and think that we have a solid idea, solid plan. We have a unique sound.
Yeah, that's what we've been told is we have a unique sound, and we always try to make this show. It's evolved a great deal over the year, but that's what every good show does is it evolves. One thing about podcasts are they either evolve or they just stop existing. A lot of shows out there do this. Whether you're a celebrity who does a podcast, or you're, an average Joe who does a podcast, shows have to evolve to keep it fresh. And it doesn't even matter if it's a podcast, TV, movie, whatever. You got to evolve your show. And we continue. We already have new things that we're lining up to do with our show just to keep you guys entertained. So
it entertains us too,
well,
and
yeah.
it keeps us interested in doing it and keeping it up.
Well,
And,
yeah, you got.
we had some ups and downs, and some
We've been an elevator.
and then we have people that are like, "Hey, you know what? This is great. I'm listening every week." You know what? It's been awesome. It's been great.
It has. You know, I mean, I talked to the band that we had on last week. You know, it's a lot of fun being able to actually interact with people all around the world. I mean, I'm always saying, if you're listening from all parts of the world and you saw this on Facebook and you saw this whole posting, you know, leave a comment behind. I love to talk to you guys. We had on our video.
Tell us where you're from.
Yeah. On the video podcast this week, we had Smooth Collie. That really has done well.
And what's exciting about that too, kind of a little off subject, but on subject.
We're never on subject.
Henry, his mom is looking to get a rough collie.
Yeah.
And she just loves collies so much. And I did not know this, but smooth collies are harder to come by than the rough collies.
Really? I didn't hear that.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, definitely. She was talking to me. She goes, "Well, I would love to get another smooth collie, but roughs are a lot easier to find, and they're bred more than the smooths." I guess since the whole Lassie show, it's been kind of keeping up, and even so many decades later.
I was thinking, you know, Lassie was around so long ago. I mean, yeah, there's been a little bit of revamp in a couple different series. You know, I think it was a couple movies that were made, but not a great deal in our generation.
Right. So it's still kind of crazy how the rough collies are more popular than the smooths. So lucky you get to groom a smooth or a rough collie here soon.
Yeah, but I will film that too, because that is fun to actually show different breeds of the week. Now this week we will not be doing a breed choice of the week. This week we will actually be highlighting a local animal shelter. One of our biggest things is we want to make sure that we inform all of you guys in video as well as on audio. We want to be able to actually show you guys things that, you know, need to be seen, stories that need to be heard, especially from the people who are actually out there doing it. So this Wednesday we will have on our video podcast, we'll have John Redshaw with the Rolla Animal Shelter. He will be your host for this podcast. And it will be an episode at the shelter. You'll be able to see different animals that are up for adoption. Obviously, if you're not in the area, that doesn't mean you shouldn't watch. There will be some really good, interesting things that he will talk about. And you'll be able to, you know, kind of get an insight.
John is a frequent guest on our show, and we would love to have him as much as he wants to be on. He's a very busy man. They're all very busy over there, keeping all the pups, you know, safe and secure, and making sure that they get to the right homes, and just all around they work so hard.
They do.
It's really hard to get them pinned down.
Well, we have an agreement that we try to get together 4 times a year for different shows. He's been on a lot of, well, he's been mostly on our audio. We've done, I think, 1 or 2 video podcasts with him, but this week we're going to do it with him because we've got dog breeds of choice that we've actually filmed, but this week we actually wanted to do a shelter visit. So that's that.
It's always exciting to me to see this and, you know, our community and what they do. They're still in the process of raising funds and building the new shelter, a bigger shelter, a nicer shelter for these pets that were picked up or have been abandoned or neglected and taken away from abusive situations. They work a lot with Pekin.
Yes.
And we try to give free grooms as much as we can. I know anyone who adopts from the Rolla shelter, they get 50% off grooms. So it's basically 1 free groom, but in order to put it on our books correctly, it has to be split up into 2. And try to help out as much as possible. Even if they don't decide to bring it to us, they still have that opportunity. It will stand.
Yeah. It's not a matter of, this is not a business a way for us to gain business. Honestly, we're so far into it right now. It's kind of hard to actually make room for new customers. We do our best. That's why we pull these Saturdays so that our loyal customers can actually get extra time. But it's hard. So
Yeah, we have new customers calling in for the week appointments, and then
or day of.
yeah, they call for the new customers call for we put them on the week,
Yeah.
and then
I see what you mean.
all of our loyal customers that have been coming to us so long, we don't have a spot for them, and sometimes they don't give us very much warning. So, okay, come in Saturday. We'll be here for you. We'll get it taken care of.
Yep. All right. Well, let's jump into let's go into this week's Ain't Nobody Got Time for That segment. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. This week, we had some really awesome people in Northern California do some remarkable things. The Ain't Nobody Got Time for That is on what's going on in South Korea. Obviously, we're not talking about the battle between South and North Korea. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about not being able to adapt to the times in South Korea. Still kind of doing things that are kind of ridiculous, in my opinion. Now, of course, like always, we always say you can develop your own opinions on everything. But I don't think that there should be farms anymore raising dogs for meat. I think we're past that. I think there's ways of actually getting sensible meat, sensible protein, without having to actually raise dogs in kennels just so that you can eat them. So this week on Ain't Nobody Got Time for That segment comes to you from Northern California.
Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that.
With a cheer, 13 dogs were welcomed to the city of San Francisco and a better life all the way from South Korea. The dogs were saved off a farm that was raising them for meat.
As dog lovers, as animal lovers, it's really a difficult practice to know that it exists, and certainly to have a place in ending it is wonderful.
Boy, good boy.
For many of these dogs, the overwhelming experience of flying halfway around the world was only topped by this sad fact. They'd never been out of a cage, so scared they had to be carried.
I can tell you I've spent my career working on animal cruelty, hoarding situations, and there's no doubt that this was one of the most horrendous situations I've seen.
Haley, you're in your room.
With tentative steps and a few plaintive whines, the dogs explored their new dig at the San Francisco SPCA, not knowing that there is a future, and it is certainly bright, with loving owners not far away. Andrea Borba, KPIX5.
All right, so that right there gives you an idea what happened. Now, this story broke 3 days ago, so these dogs are actually just recently brought stateside. Now, I do know a lot of people, and this is something that I saw happen last year, if I'm not mistaken, with the Sochi Olympics. A lot of people have reservations about bringing dogs in from other countries. They feel we have a lot of dogs in our country as it is that need homes. Why are we helping dogs in other countries? That happened to David Backus, who was on our show a while back. He brought back some dogs from Sochi, Russia. And he took a lot of criticism for bringing dogs there, saying, hey, dogs are looking for homes here. We have shelters that are overcrowding. I will actually take it to this level. These dogs that we're talking about that were over in South Korea, they were actually going to be ate. They were, food. And they weren't even chows. That's the other thing. They were not chows. They were just regular breeds of dog. It's times like this. It's like, this has got to stop. This is kind of stupid. I mean, not kind of. Well, this is stupid.
If you look back in the past, in history, they needed protein that they couldn't raise on their own soil. So they used, chow-chows. They used dogs.
Yeah.
But times have changed so much. And what used to be wherever you lived was the only place in the world.
Yeah.
To the point where everything just opened up. You can get anything you want from anywhere you want. And the world's a lot smaller now than it used to be. And there's so many other ways of getting proteins, of getting the meat that you need. Because you get protein from just regular beans.
Yep. Well, there's definitely ways.
So, but if you want to be more of the meat eater, and I don't blame folks, I eat meat, it happens. But at the same time, there's a reason why we have livestock.
Yeah.
And especially free range. We try to make sure we know where our meat's coming from, and making sure they're not kept in little tiny cages. And even our eggs, they're free range. They're not caged. Yeah, I don't even care for the cage-free ones. I think free range. That's why I look for it, even for the chicken. We spend a little extra, but at least they had some kind of life before they were slaughtered.
Well, this is free range. Oh, you're talking about the chicken or the eggs?
The eggs and the chicken that we get.
Yeah.
They're
I mean, the eggs, they're still alive, probably. The chickens are not.
No, when they lay the eggs, they're not cooped up in a
Well,
kennel,
I know. I never mind.
So, these dogs were all kept in small, tiny cages, not able to move, so their meat doesn't get tough. Kind of like what they do with veal, which I am against. But they need to evolve just like the world's evolving. It's something we have to do. And if you're stuck in any one period of time, it's just going to be terrible. And what does it say about humans?
Yeah, it's an odd thing. I mean, now Sarah knows one of the places that I was hoping to live when I was going overseas. The place I was hoping to go was South Korea. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. I went somewhere else. But I did a lot of research on South Korea because that's really what I was trying for the most. And it's not like, oh, South Korea has, nothing. It's desolate. No, it's not. There's a great deal. It's unfortunately, it's populated. It's developed, but on the same side, there's a lot of their thought process is still, very backwards. They haven't evolved a lot in their time. Some have, some haven't.
Well, it's like you don't want to change their culture.
You want to evolve, though.
But
you have
you want to be. Yeah, it's so taboo that, I one hand I feel bad saying you shouldn't eat dog meat. On the other hand, because I eat cow.
Well,
chicken,
vegetarians would be like, well,
pork.
how can you?
How's it different?
Yeah.
Where's the difference between it?
Easy. My actual cows. If I'm going to eat a cow, hamburger or whatever, it's not something that's going to be laying on my couch. Unfortunately, cows are. We have a large population of cows. The protein is actually healthy. Yeah, somebody could say, well, soy's healthy too. I don't think it is to me. It's just not to me. But there's, you can make the argument all day. I mean, we could have a vegetarian who's listening to the show right now going, you're full of, cow manure. How can you make that claim? Look, we can all agree dogs should not be ate. We've covered dogs being used as bait, live bait in oceans to catch different sharks. I don't think that
crocodiles out in
there is a great deal of animal abuse worldwide. That's what I'm actually getting to the point to. If South Korea or North Korea or anywhere in Asia or anywhere in the world is using dogs as actual consumption food, for one, there's no laws regulating. There's no laws regulating really animal abuse in general. I mean, we see it all the time. We hear it all the time. There's abuse in the States, in, Canada and South America and Europe and all over. There's no real laws to it. I feel like this is one of those things that they don't have any regulations. For one, there's probably no regulations on what they're doing. And on the second part of it, it's just time to evolve. Time to stop the dog farms that are just raising dogs for food. I mean, really, would you want to, besides the president eating dog and being okay with it, that's the only person I can actually think of in America who thinks that eating dog is good.
There's probably a ton. I mean, everybody's got their preference, but our stand on it, and we'll probably leave it at that. Our stand on it is they need to stop.
Yeah.
It needs to evolve.
Yeah.
And find something else.
I like it. All right. Well, moving right along, as we ever so do, we're actually going to go into our main topic of the week. And I left us some real time to kind of discuss this, and that is the pros and cons of fostering. Now, this week, we didn't mention it in the weekly roundup because it's part of this week's main topic of the week. This week, Sydney, our foster dog, moved on from her actual spot in our house as being her foster to the midway point to actually go into a shelter that specializes in dogs that are blind in Illinois. She went on this past week, and she's made her trip out there, and that was a sad moment. Definitely rough. I'll speak for me on this one. Whenever our foster dogs are taken, we turn them over to the next person. It's always that morning when we get to work. Sometimes right when we get to work, sometimes a little bit after we get to work. This week we got to work and the lady was ready 2 minutes after we arrived.
Yeah, she was on time. Exactly
way too much on time.
At 8:30. I thought we were going to have just a few minutes with Sydney, and we didn't. But, we don't want to be selfish and say, we want to keep her for a little longer and then move her on. We know we couldn't keep her, and this is just her stop before she, one step closer to finding her home. Now, the shelter that agreed to take her is
called Taps. We will have the person that's in charge of that shelter on our show in the next couple weeks. She's unavailable. She was unavailable this past week and next week. So we were unable to actually put her on this, real soon. But we'll have her on in a couple weeks. I think it'll be episode 72 is what she'll be on. We haven't done the interview, obviously, or I would have just played it. But she will be on. Taps it's a really, really beautiful facility. I got to see it. You okay?
I gotta sneeze.
Oh boy. So as I was talking to her, I thought, I didn't know this at the time. Sydney actually left us, went to St. Louis, and stayed the night with a foster. Bless you. Stayed with a foster.
Forever.
I hate those. Stayed with a foster that night, and then made her trip out to Illinois. I think it's right by Peoria, Illinois. It's really close to that.
Well, what's great is that, they specialize in the blind dogs. And Sydney, she's... I don't know how much of it is that she's totally blind or so energetic she doesn't want to pay attention to what's coming up.
I don't think she's that blind because we would take her each day to work with us so that, she had an opportunity.
Well, she would look at one side of the kennel when you're at the other. So
she was a little bit challenged, and it made her unique.
She was so cute. She was a Jack Russell mix with something.
You can see her on the album art this week. She's the dog that's on the album art.
She was amazing. She slept with me every single night up until the last few nights. She slept
was
with
there.
Chris.
She was right up again. She took Belle's spot. Belle normally sleeps up against my chest each night.
We had her in mid-February is when we got her to the end of February, and then we kept her, safe, secure, and nice and everything. Sorry, I get kind of twitchy.
I noticed.
But it was I don't know, I found it was a blessing to be able to foster her for the little time that we did.
Yeah, well, we had her for about a month. But we wanted to talk about the pros and cons of fostering because that's definitely something that you guys need to think about. We're always saying, you know what, if you want to go out and do something, foster. If you don't really know if you really want to have a pet, you want to try something out, fostering is a good idea. You could be a short-term foster, an emergency housing foster. You could be, I've seen people who have been fostering pets for years, and they're just fostering. Yeah, they could become, the adopting, foster failures, but they wanted to stay as a foster, which I think is kind of weird, but, hey, to each his own. But there's definitely a lot of things that you guys need to consider about fostering. Number one, it doesn't matter if it's a cat or dog. it's by preference. I mean, we had Rambo as a foster, and we failed as being, fosters with a cat. We kept Rambo, which I cannot say I am sad about that at all. Actually, as time goes on, I'm going, thank goodness we actually kept Rambo. Rambo is a real unique cat. But things that you need to look at when you're actually fostering, when the dog or cat first arrives in the house.
Because you don't know what you're getting.
No.
You need to be open-minded.
Yes.
And have a love for animals before you even fall in love with this particular foster. It's pretty much impossible to not fall in love with your foster. There will be some kind of emotional attachment. You can be so prepared not to fall in love, but then you'll end up loving them because you love animals in general. Our particular case with Sydney, she was so much work. So much work. And a lot of messes in the house.
A lot of things that if you already have a dog, you're gonna have to almost adapt to the new needs of this new dog.
Yeah. So, when you think about, hey, you know what, I kind of want to foster. I wonder if this is for me. You want to be able to think about, okay, what happens if the dog isn't housebroken? Can you handle picking up messes in your house, getting a scrub brush out if you got carpet and scrubbing your carpet? If they go to the bathroom on your furniture, are you equipped to making sure that gets cleaned off and not be royally upset?
Yeah, that's
to the point where you just tell them, hey, look, I'm not fostering anymore. Take this dog or cat away from me.
Yeah, because they're not going to be perfect. You're very rarely going to get that perfect pet.
Right, yeah. It's very rare you're going to get that perfect foster that already knows how to sit, stay, leave it, and is potty trained.
Off-leash trained.
Yeah, see, what we're used to is all our dogs, we just open the door and they go.
And they never leave the yard.
They don't leave the yard, and if something gets them kind of riled up, a firm no stops them. Dead in their tracks.
You're not going to get that.
So, with Sydney, she needed an actual backyard with a high fence so she can take her time and go to the bathroom. She wouldn't just walk on the leash real quick outside, do her business, and she's done. She needed to go for a rather long walk or be let out into a yard for a while. I know when we went to work, we let her out in the small breed den, or small breed yard.
Yeah.
And let her roam around for a good 15 minutes, and then when she started barking heavily, she was done.
And that's the other thing. You have to be prepared, like with Sydney. Good example with Sydney is, Sydney was a barker. If she wasn't next to you, it would be a very annoying bark. And if that's something that would upset you, obviously you want to make sure, if you have different personality traits that would prohibit you from having a dog like that, you want to mention that to whomever you're actually working with. Majority of 501c have, they need fosters, which a 501c is a non-profit organization.
Yeah, say you live in an apartment that allows small dogs, and you want to foster a small dog. Well, they frown upon barking. Well, just let your fosters know, or your 501c
C3. Sorry.
Know that, hey, look, I will more than happy to foster a little dog. We just need to make sure it doesn't bark. And if it starts barking, we'll need to find another place for him to stay. Be open as possible with them. Let them know what you can handle and what you can't handle.
Right.
And what the stuff that you can't handle, really sit down and think to yourself, is it really that much of a bother to me? And stuff that I can't live with if the dog isn't housebroken.
Yeah.
Or if the dog's a chewer.
Well, if you live in an apartment, my suggestion is don't do a small dog. My suggestion would be do a cat. That would definitely be my choice for anybody who is actually doing it. Now, with a cat, you're going to have to understand that there's an acclimation period. The acclimation period is, it could be a day, it could be a week, it could be a month, where that first day, for sure, they're going to go somewhere and hide. You want to make sure their litter box is somewhere that it's visible for them to find. Same thing with their food and water. Don't be surprised if the cat doesn't use the toilet as its water bowl because, well, they usually do. So that's the first thing. A cat is pretty much as self-sufficient as you're going to get. So
But
if you live in an apartment, that's a good choice.
Realize too, if you're fostering a cat, they can get a little testy on some things, and they might end up peeing on certain areas because they're not doing it out of spite. They're doing it because they're either super nervous, they're scared, their paws might hurt. Especially declawed cats.
Yes.
Sometimes veterinarians don't do it very well, and they leave too much behind on the claw, and it hurts them to step foot into regular clay cat litter. Sometimes you need to get the really fine granule stuff or a pellet style, something that will help their paws.
There actually is declawed cat litter for specific kinds. Some of them are just shredding. It's almost kind of like a cardboard shredding type thing.
And some are kind of like birdseed stuff that has been ground up.
Yep.
So it's more of a natural feel to them. So just be open-minded and really think, is this right for you?
Yeah. First of all, it's a matter of you. That's the pro and con number one. You. That's the first thing.
If you work, 60 hours a week and you only have one day off, fostering may not be the best bet for you. You want to make sure you have time for your foster because it is a commitment that you need to stick with. Not something you can just willy-nilly say, I'm tired of it, come take it.
Yeah.
Because then you're throwing your nonprofit into a tailspin trying to find a place for this animal that you said you're going to take care of.
Right.
And it can get...
Very, very bad.
Yeah. And make sure you can be as flexible as possible because that dog or cat's going to need to go to the vet, get vetting done, get checked out, spayed, neutered, any kind of physical problems you need to be able to be willing to do too.
Right.
If the animal is diabetic and need insulin shots, well, you need to make sure you're able to do that too. Oh, it's just a wrapper of some sort. Just keep an open mind.
Yeah.
But the pros, to me,
they outweigh
all of the cons.
Yes.
All of the cons.
But you have to be prepared for this stuff. I mean, there are a lot of different things that are a little challenging. The hardest part, and I'm going to say this right now, the hardest part about fostering is one thing, and that's relinquishing the dog or cat to the next stage.
Yes.
You will have the hardest time, no matter how much you say, I hate that dog or cat, I'm not going to like it, I'm going to do this as, I'm doing my good thing, I'm not going to get attached. Trust me, you will be attached.
Right.
Because you know the life you can give that animal. And if you can give that animal a good life, it's very hard to say, I'm going to roll the dice on this dog or cat and hope that it gets a good shot. That's my big problem. I know what we can give a dog or cat. I mean, it's very simple. They're going to have a good life where it's all, easy. But you can't keep collecting dogs or we become a dog hoarding area.
Yeah.
Or cat, dog, whatever. You don't want to become a dog. That is how you can become dog and cat hoarders. So,
it starts with a good deed and it just grows. In our household, if the dog, and we have 2 dogs that are 70 pounds, and then our, 7-pound chihuahua. And then we have like a 10-pound cat. And
at least.
But with us, if they want on our lap, we'll put down our computer, we'll put down our phone or our tablet, and let them on our lap. Whatever we have to do can wait until they're done with soaking up the love they want to soak up.
Well, I'll say this: when I'm playing my PS4, and I'm just sitting there on the floor, and Rambo will jump up on my lap and just completely take over and embody my entire lap. That's not a big deal because all he wants is that love and affection, and I mean that's priceless. You just can't get that anywhere else. Or in the morning when I'm getting up and I'm getting my coffee. Callie will meow at me and have a morning conversation. That's entertaining. And the same thing with the dogs. They all have their own little quirks about them. But, and that's why it's always hard to relinquish a dog or cat because you know what they're going to have here, but they might actually have a great life somewhere. So you got to roll that dice. And there's a dog or cat out there who need you.
Well, what's great about working with a nonprofit is that they're not just going to, throw this dog or cat to whoever wants a dog or a cat. They have to go through a process to make sure everything is going to be okay and everything's kosher. So we have high confidence in Whisker Stop and in Pikal that they're just not going to throw these animals to some random person.
Yeah, they're not in Walmart saying,
free
free dog to good home. Yeah, they don't do that. And another thing that really you need to look at is don't only participate with one nonprofit. Be involved with multiple nonprofits. And another thing you were saying, if you only have a very short amount of window of time available, you can always volunteer a couple hours with a shelter or a rescue or even a nonprofit just to know that you're actually getting involved. And that's if you really want to be involved in something.
Well, say fostering is just not for you, but you have a very good working car and space in the back, like an SUV, where you can put a kennel.
Yep.
Transport. Make a day of it.
Yeah.
Wherever they need to go, take that dog, and then once you drop it off to wherever they need to go and enjoy the city that you're in or the town that you're in. Go try new food. Make it an exploring situation. We transported once, and it was a couple kittens to Jeff City.
Yep, Jefferson City, Missouri.
Just made the day and enjoyed Jefferson City.
Yeah.
Jeff City. And definitely that's one way to do it too. Now, if you are not sure you really want to have an actual animal of your own, fostering is a great way to find out whether or not you have it in you to take care of another animal. If it's right for your household. If you have kids, see how your kids are doing with it. Introduce very slowly and basically beat it into your child. You don't do X, Y, Z.
Now, we do not actually want you to beat your child. Do not physically beat your child. Go on.
But, Claire, we got into her head. These are new animals, and all because mommy runs up and goes, "Oh, pretty doggy," right in the face, doesn't mean she gets to do it.
Well, okay, Claire had never dealt with a blind dog before, so it was a new experience. And honestly, Sydney had never dealt with a child before. So it was actually two different situations. You had to actually acclimate a dog to a child and acclimate a child to a blind dog. It was a very different scenario.
And what's great about the fostering, we've only fostered a few times. There's some people that make just their lifetime of just fostering. They never actually owned an animal, but all they're doing is foster after foster after foster. And those people are godsends, because that's always a place where they can have a dog homed for a while. And we've fostered Abby and Lily.
I was like, nope, try again.
Melody and Lily.
There you go.
Abby and Lily are groom dogs that we do. Melody and Lily, Sydney, and then we fostered and failed at Rambo.
I swear we had one more. At some point, I thought we had one more, but you might be right.
That was it.
Well, in a sense, technically, we kind of, fostered Belle Grande because we found her. We searched everywhere for her possible home, and yet she was a dump, unfortunately. When I say a dump, meaning she was dumped on the side of a road and left to pretty much care for herself. This is one of the things that's hard about if you really want to take care of animals and that's your mission to actually help animals, you will find that that's going to be a hard thing because you find a lot of bad people out there. But yeah.
And knowing that you're giving this animal a fresh start, finding out as much as you can about this animal to help on their adventure to find their actual forever home. is extremely important.
Yeah.
You want to test things. You want to see how they do with treats, how they do with feeding, making sure that they're not food aggressive, they're not bowl aggressive, they're not kennel aggressive. And if they are, make sure people know in the nonprofit so that they can find the proper home.
Yes.
You know, Sydney, she was blind. She's very high
maintenance.
You know, yeah, and she's very high strung.
That too.
So if any little thing changes, she's in this panic. So you got to be careful. You really got to know what you're getting into.
Yes.
But man, the rewards, the dog loving you, knowing that it has a warm home, coming up to you, that first moment when they were just so scared, they didn't want to go anywhere, and then the first time they come up to you because they want to be with you, you're okay by them, is an amazing feeling.
And you don't really know what they're... I mean, you'll find out a lot of times the nonprofit has information of where the situation was, where they came from. A lot of times, I mean, we've talked about hoarding situations where the dogs were left to fend for themselves. Sydney came from kind of an undisclosed situation. You know, it was rumored that the owners had been put in jail and the dog was just kind of left to be. You don't really, and you don't know if the dog had been beaten. You don't, you know, so there are those cases where a dog had been abused.
Some people can lie and say the dog hasn't had or has had a good life and really didn't. And
that shows up quick.
Yeah. So when you want to foster, you got to also be willing to commit for however long it takes to find this dog their home. Sometimes it could be just a few weeks, like what we've encountered.
Yeah, we're more of a short term.
Sometimes it's a longer, 6, 7, 8 months, a year.
Yes.
Or if you say yes to a sickly dog that is getting treated for, either heartworm or some kind of skin infection, ringworm.
I was going to say ringworm.
Fungal infection of any kind. That you're willing to put the effort into making sure that dog is healthy just so someone else can enjoy it later.
Yes.
That was a hard part too for us with Rambo.
Rambo honestly was on the way out.
Oh yeah, he would have been dead within days.
Yes.
If we didn't pick him up. And we spent hours and hours on end making sure that he was healthy, that he was going to be socialized, making sure that his ringworm went away, his eye infection went away.
Chest congestion.
Constantly feeding him every couple hours just so he doesn't bloat up.
Yep. Well, that was Lily and Melody as well.
Oh yeah, we had to do that with them too. We had to feed small portions many times a day.
Yes. There's a lot of work that can go into this. At the end, the rewards are there though.
Just to know that you helped.
Yeah.
That they express their gratitude on cuddling up, on licking your hand, or
pressing up against you when going to sleep, and they sleep pressed up to you.
You let them out in their front yard and they bring you back a bunny. That's a gift.
Hey, that's dinner if you're into that.
It might be gross,
Yeehaw!
But they love you and stuff like that. They show their love so easily, that it's just so worth it.
Well, it's like, one thing that a dog or cat will do is they may not be able to pay rent financially, but they pay it back in the love and devotion that they give you, and that's really hard to put into financials, obviously, but it's easy to receive.
Yeah, you got to make sure that you're able to afford the food at least.
Yeah, at least. Yeah, and as always, we always say, make sure you don't have to, spend $50 for a small bag of food, but at least do a higher quality wheat, grain, soy, gluten-free food would be helpful.
You can try, definitely, and see if the nonprofit will be able to pay for some of it, but, they are just that, a nonprofit. They don't have extra money to throw out. So if you're looking for a way to give back to the community, buying the dog food really, really would help. Some people, I have a hard time donating my time and effort to humans, especially. It's on the side of the cup. It's going to run down everywhere.
Do not have a vanilla shake when doing a podcast.
I would much rather take my time, effort, and money and put it into the animals than humans that just end up being snots to you the next time over. So,
well, that's a discussion I've had with a lot of people who are actually working with animals. They say, I will not work, I will not help people anymore. And it's every time I help people, they turn around and they crap on me. And it's like, yeah, I get that. And, I've heard it from a lot of people, especially ones who do both. They work with people and animals, and they're like, I'm done with the people part. I'm moving on. I'm closing that door. I mean, I'll use a word, Wes. That was a great example of people that just kind of was like, yep, last person I'm going to help.
Yeah, we try to help a few people, and it just ends up backfiring in our face. So animals, they appreciate it. They will show their love. It really is just an all-around great experience. I absolutely suggest fostering, whether it's short-term, long-term. Just try it.
Yeah, give it a shot.
I bet you'll love it enough to do it again.
Yes. Now I think we're closed for a little bit, right?
For a little bit, yes. We have a lot coming up, and summer's hitting, and we're not going to have time.
Or space.
Just time.
And space, because we can't really be bringing them to work with us. There's not a lot of space during summer.
So winter months, we're typically more, apt to foster because we know our schedule.
And I say this now, as next week we'll probably end up saying, "Hi everybody, welcome to episode 71, and we have another foster."
Yeah, no.
I wouldn't be surprised with it. I wouldn't be surprised with you. Here's how it always goes with Sarah. Hi, honey. I love you. Okay, what'd you do? What'd you bring? Nothing. It's no bigger than Belle. It's no bigger than Belle.
It was twice the size of Belle, so what?
At least.
It was smaller than Katana and Roxy.
That doesn't say much.
So?
We literally had it almost kind of looked like cell phone bars. Tall, medium, small, really small. We had full bars.
Katana, Roxy, Sydney, and then Belle.
So I hope that this helps with, the ideas of fostering. Definitely cannot stress enough how much it's important for you to do it. If you're really looking to get out there, maybe you're just sick and tired of helping people that don't want to help themselves. I'm not saying that that's everybody. Unfortunately, everybody that we've helped, it seems to be that way.
And one thing, too, I will put that out there, whether you want me to or not, but nonprofits are made up of, obviously, people, and some people have different points of view and opinions than yours. Try not to get mixed up in their politics.
Yes.
Keep focused that you're doing this for the pet and not for the politics, not for the people who are running it. If they're running the nonprofit properly, that's all that matters. That's all you need to worry about their personal lives, is if they're running it properly, the animals are getting the care that they need, and everybody's getting their attention that they needed.
Yeah, that's one thing with me.
Get involved in politics.
You know this with me. I have a very solid point of view, and I may not agree with different people that we work with and we volunteer with, but that doesn't excuse the helping of the pets.
Right.
Because
if we did that, we would stop helping
a long time
ago. So
at least one of us would have. Me.
We both would have.
True.
But my vision is to help each animal that I possibly can and not worry about the politics. I mean, we even have dogs that are in our kennel right now that they stopped bringing their dogs into us to get groomed. They went to someone else, and they weren't very nice about it. But now that person is in a rehab home. The dogs are staying with us for free, staying at at Shadowwood for free, and I'm grooming them for free.
Yeah.
We've groomed them once. We're going to groom them again. But there we go again. The dogs need it. Lady can't afford it right now because she's in a rehab home, and I'm talking about physical rehab, not drug rehab, just a physical rehab, physical therapy.
You may have to go to rehab for helping.
And whether or not she's going to take it back to those people that groomed them before is all on her. I know you have a different opinion on
I do have an opinion on it. Yeah, I mean, I really honestly, it's one of those things. This is where I stand on it, and I will put it on record. I'm always a little leery on people. I don't put a lot of stock on them because I can see where she will take her money and give it to the person who is absolutely does not care to help, refuses to help at all, but she'll still take the money. And that's my thing on record. And we'll find out. We'll mention it.
But even if my opinion is even if she does, the dogs need the help. I'm not doing it to help the owner. I'm helping the dog.
I just don't want you
Obviously, the dog needs to get groomed.
Yes.
It's going to be in pain if the knots pile up.
True.
And obviously, she can't pick the dogs up to take it to their groomer, since she actually cannot physically drive anymore.
I just don't want you to end up absolutely becoming, so hateful to the fact that I don't want to help any human, no matter what the circumstances.
And see, that's why I put that business side out, that politic side. She, when she gets driven over to hang out with her dogs for a few minutes.
That is a nice moment.
Hi, how you doing? How's your physical therapy going? Your babies really miss you. Let me go get them for you. And I said, okay, well, they need grooming. I'll be more than happy to groom them. No charge, but they need it.
Yeah.
So don't get mixed up in politics because
True.
It's going to make you bitter to help anything or anyone.
Yeah.
You just got to realize deep down inside you're helping this animal. I don't care about the mouth breather on the other side.
True. Well, we had a longer episode than I thought we would.
Yes, this actually went a little bit longer than I expected.
Yes,
there was a little more to talk about than I thought.
I had a feeling it was going to be a long one. Yeah. All right. Well, everybody, this was episode 70 of The Groomer Next Door. Thank you for joining us this week. I'm Chris Green. Have a pet-tastic week.
And I'm Sarah Green. Make sure everybody realizes life is so short. Play with your pet.
Goodbye, everybody.
Okay, gotta go in my bedtime.
Was without doubt the worst episode ever. Rest assured that I was on the internet within minutes, registering my disgust throughout the world.